Okay, now you are truly going to see the efficiency of the binomial theorem in action, of much harder binomials. Now everybody hopefully knows what a binomial it is. It's x plus y. That's a binomial. X plus y squared, right? That's a binomial. Okay? I'm squaring binomials to individual terms. Okay? Now, we have done all of this. This is all review. Okay, we just did it yesterday, but more importantly, we just did a quiz on it today. So we're going to go to the actual binomial theorem. Now, the binomial theorem, you have already seen. If you have x plus y to the n, it is nc0 all the way to ncn are your coefficients. And do you see that these get counted down all the way to 0, and the y's get counted up all the way to n. Okay? Now, n must be an integer, and it's got to be greater than 0. Okay? So positive integers. Here is the formula for the binomial theorem. Now, it is on your formula sheet, but it is a small, or some great things come in small packages. This is it. It has a lot of information there. Okay? It's got your, with me there? Okay? It has your term. It'll give you the exact information that you need to find the following stuff. Now, if I asked you, hey, what's the fifth term in x plus y to the 8? You are into about a half an hour work if you're going to take x plus y and multiply it by x plus y, and then you're going to take that and multiply it by x plus y, and then you can do that again. You can do that 8 times, and then you're going to find me the fifth term. Okay? You're probably going to use up half your exam time on one question. Or you could use this fancy formula. Okay? So let's talk about this fancy formula. I am looking for the fifth term. In other words, I'm looking for T5. Okay? That's what the fifth term means. Now, just by looking at the formula, if t equals 5, what does k equal? Look right there. What would k equal? 4. So you know k would equal 4, because 4 plus 1 is 5. Now, this number here always is your n. The first term is always going to be your x, the second one your y. So this one is kind of lame because that is x and y. So all you're going to do is T5 equals 8, C, k is 4, x to the 8 minus 4, y to the 4. Now, 8C4, if you put that into your calculator, is 70. X to the 4, y to the 4. That is the fifth term. Okay? Now that is efficient. If you do know what you're doing, that is a 1-minute question. If you don't know what you're doing, it's a 30-minute question. And people were doing that on the quiz today. They had the triangles on there, right? And yes, you would have, maybe you'd get that question right, but some of you had to give up 3 of them to do it, which is bad math, right? If 3 get lost for 1, those are 3 questions that you probably knew, but you're not going to get to. Okay, this one, a middle term of a plus b to the 10. You need a little bit of knowledge to get through this one. Which term am I looking for? T what? T6. But is 6 in the middle of 10? There is 11 terms. Now, if you look back on your study sheet, at t, like x plus y to the 0, there's one term. So there's always one more term than the exponent. And if you count 11 terms, you'll find that the middle is, the middle is 6. Okay, there's 5 on each side. So that is the middle term. So I'm looking for T6 equals, okay, what is n? 10, right? 10, C, I need K now. K is 5. How's everybody getting 5? Because this is K plus 1, right? So K is 5. And then now we're changing things up a bit. The first term is A, and that is going to be to the 10 minus 5. And the second term is B, not X anymore, because look, those two, whatever is X the first term, that becomes now replaced by it, and B will be the second term, and this will just be 5. So this is 252, A to the 5, B to the 5. Okay. So it's efficient, it is a few steps, least chance for error, but you got to make sure you know all of your, what's going to be n, what's going to be k, okay, what's going to be my term number, what are my first and second terms. Now we're going to go all the way down to example 3. Actually, let's go to example 4. I was playing with my... Okay. Now, this is how I would find the fifth term of 3x minus 2y to the 7th, okay? So, again, yes, you could do it. You could just go through and do it, right? But I think that most of you will prefer this way over that for many reasons. So, the thing is, know to write down that formula. Many students who, I don't know what to do next, I like, well, do you know what formula? I'm going to use this formula. Okay, well, write it down. Fine. And they write it down. They're like, okay, whatever, this is useless. I still don't know what I'm doing. But I'll do what you want, and then I'll show you. Now, I'm just saying, I want you to fill in some of these things for me. So what can we fill in? Term. So we know we're looking for T5. So what have I already established? K is 4. Okay? What's n? 7. You're always going to get n from here. What's x? 3x, the first term. What is y? Very good, negative 2y. And that's something that you should always do. Make this a plus sign. Always, always, always. So these are my two terms. So now I can just fill in everything that I have. I have 7, C, 4. X is 3x to the n minus k. 7 minus 4. To the y, which is negative 2y to the 4. Okay, so when you do a study sheet, maybe you're just going to have a good example. And you're going to, like, this is a great one to have on a study sheet because it has a negative sign in it, or minus sign. So I would put this down, and then I would go, okay, this is always, it says fifth term, T5, so k equals 4. Okay, do that stuff so you know how to do these. Yes?
So why is there 5 terms? Because I thought you said...
It says determine the fifth term. I never said there's 5 terms. There would be 8 terms in this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this one would have 8 terms, right? Okay, so 7C4, that's 35. This turns out to be 3x to the 4, or 3 I should say, which is 27x cubed. And negative 2 to the y, or negative 2y to the fourth is negative 2 to the fourth is 16, y to the 4. Now, I've got these numbers to multiply to each other, which is 15,120 x to the 3, y to the 4. That's what T5 is. Now, you may think that's time consuming, but it is much better than the alternative. Now, let's get to some other types of questions that would prove to be extremely challenging without this formula. It's if I expand x squared plus a to the 8th, I want you to think about that long thing with 9 terms in it. They say one term actually is this. And they're saying, well, so what would a have to be to make that? Okay, so I want you to picture 9 terms, and one of the terms is 114,688 x to the 4th. Well, a is a numerical value. A is a number in this one. Okay, so that very good observation. And a has to be greater than 0. Okay, so where do you start? Now, ignore all this stuff here because it's just all, students do not learn if they just read it through. Right? You have to write what's going on. So we are going to start by writing the formula nck x to the n minus k, y to the k. Now, I want you to look at the question. This is the question right here. X squared plus. Now, do I know the term number? No, I don't. So I'm going to have to leave that there. Do I know n? Yes, it is 8ck. What is x? In this case, it will be x. And I do know n, so I'm going to go 8 minus k. What is y? What is y? It's a to the k. Now, does everybody get how I've constructed this? Now, yep. Sorry, you're right. It is x squared. It's a good thing I asked if this looks right. Okay. Now, we can do a little bit of simplifying here because this is power to power. So this is t, k plus 1 equals 8ck, and then x to the 16 minus 2k, a to the k. Now, where do we go from here? Well, we know that whatever term this is, it does equal 114,688 x to the 4, right? Now, what is one thing we know for sure looking at this? X is going to be to the power of 4. That means that this has to be x to the 4th, doesn't it? Or how else am I going to get an x to the 4th in the answer? So we have to go, well, 16 minus 2k, that has to equal 4. So if I add 16 or minus 16 to both sides, I'll get negative 2k equals negative 12, right? And I will get k to equal 6. So which term am I looking for? 7, right? So the answer is T7 is 8C7 x to the 4, 6, a to the 6. And this still all equals 114, 688 x to the 4. Now, I just want you to look at this. If those two were equal, what's the next thing you would do? Well, algebraically, what's the first thing you should do? Get rid of your x to the 4s. What's next? What is 8c6? 28. So we get 28, a to the 6 equals 114,688. What do you do next? Divide by 28. A to the 6 equals 4,096. Then what do we do? Yeah, we can, well, just multiply by 1/6 to each side, right? To the exponent 1/6. And you will get a to be plus or minus 4. Because remember, whenever it is an even power, it will be plus or minus. So a has to equal 4 because in the rules it said a had to be greater than 0. So a is 4. So the actual equation was x squared plus 4 to the 8th. And term 5, or no, sorry, term 7 is 114,688 x to the 4. So do you see how this one's not going to have a y value in it at the end? It's going to combine with the coefficients because they've made y a number. Okay? Okay. Couple more. Okay. So these, again, are excellent test questions, excellent diploma questions. Okay. Example 7. You will see on my exam. You will see on the diploma. They love that one because you can absolutely not do it at all without knowing what you're doing. You cannot guess and test. It sucks away time from your exam if you want to be playing with it. So it is a great question if you know what you're doing, and it can do a lot of damage if you don't. Not just you will not get that question, but you're going to take time from ones you could have got. Now, I want to find the numerical coefficient of the term containing a to the 7. So I am looking for something a to the 7. Some number a to the 7th. That's what I'm looking for in the expansion 3 minus a to the 10. Okay, can you even comprehend how overwhelming this would be if you're going to try it just by doing it the long way? I would skip this question for sure. If I didn't know what I was doing, skip this question because it's going to take a lot of time away from your exam. But if you know this little formula, even if right away you just know I need to use that formula, you're going to get it. And if it was a written response, you're going to get a mark for filling all this in correctly. Now, the important thing is to gain knowledge of what you really have. Now, what do I have here? I have n, which is, so do I know my term number? No. So, okay, so this is 10ck maybe, I think some people have to see that, okay? Because we always have a couple people that can see that ahead of time, and obviously you're one of them. So we'll, okay, now, what is my x value? So this is 3 to the, what's the exponent? 10 minus k. And what is my y value? Negative a to the k. Now, always make sure you're doing that. Now, Jamie kind of let the cat out of the bag a little bit, but what does k have to be? Look at my answer. What is the only reason, or only way, I should say, we would ever get this? What would k have to be? Look right here. It would have to be, how are you going to get an a to the 7 unless you have an a to the 7 in your question, right? So right away we know k has to be 7, so I can get something a to the 7. There's no other variables in this thing. Does everybody see what I'm doing here? I need to get this answer. I have to look and go, well, what could I do in here that could give me this in the final answer? 7's the only thing that can be there. Right? If I put a 6 here, I'm going to get something a to the 6. So it is, I'm looking for t to the, or t8, which is 10c 8, 3, 7. What am I talking about? Do that again. Okay, and then 10 minus 7. Like, to be smart, because I actually, this is the way I always do it. I always go 7 plus 1, and then I don't keep making the same mistake I just make there all the time. Okay, maybe keep it in the same form. And this is kind of, and then you have negative a to the 7. Now, I want you to change this to negative 1a for the next reason I'm going to show you. T to the 7 plus 1 can also be written as 10c7, 3 to the 10 minus 7, negative 1 to the 7, a to the 7. All I've done is I've distributed the 7 so I can have a nice, oh, maybe I'll put this up. I can have a nice a to the 7. I should try and isolate that variable. Now, I want to say something here so you guys understand that if you have a times b times c to the 7, this equals a to the 7 times b to the 7 times c to the 7. Okay? You can always distribute an exponent if they're all multiplying. What you can't do, you can't do this. You can't do that. That's mathematically incorrect. That's a plus b times 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 a plus b. That's what a plus b to the 7 means, not a to the 7 times b to the 7. But you can always distribute an exponent if they're multiplying. Now, why have I done that? Because now I can actually get my answer. This is t to the 8. If you multiply this all together, you will get negative 3,240, and guess what follows? A to the 7. I have found the term containing a to the 7. And how could they use this as a written response? They would say, write down the absolute value of the numerical coefficient. And then you put that in your numerical response, right? Absolute value means make it positive and record that in the, okay? I've also seen record the last 2 digits in your numerical response. You just put 40 down. Okay? In other words, you're not getting this unless you know it. You're not getting that free mark. Okay? And with 12 questions out of the 40, you can see how you can really dig yourself a pretty good hole if you don't know how to do your numerical response. That means you're getting 100 on the rest to do crappy on the diploma. Okay? Now, here's the one that I'm talking about that you will see on my exam, you will see on the diploma, and it is a very hard question if you don't know the tricks I'm going to show you here. They're not really tricks, they're mathematical ways to do it. It says determine the constant term when you expand 2x minus 1 over x squared. What does the constant term mean? It means the term independent of x. So the term that has no variables in it. Now, if you look at all the stuff we've been doing, that's impossible. There's always variables. You're starting with x to like the 15, and you're counting all the way down, and then the other ones are counting up. That's impossible. Well, the only time it'll be possible is when there's an x on the top and an x on the bottom. Because can you see that sometimes when you multiply a and b together, or x and y, they're going to kill each other, right? There's going to be enough x's on the top and the bottom. They're actually going to get rid of all the x's. Okay? So remember, if you see this, where there's x and then that's 1 over x squared over 15. Now I'm going to try and teach you the simplest way of it. This has been in the curriculum for the last 20 years, okay? I've taught this one enough that I'm going to show you probably the easiest way to do this one, okay? Now the first thing is you want to get your formula out. Okay? Now, what I'm trying to tell you guys is these two here, when you multiply them, they're actually going to cancel each other out. Now, you can see if it was 2x minus 3x, that's never going to happen. How could you ever multiply 2x by 3x? And no term is going to do that. But when you have an x squared on the bottom and an x or whatever, x cubed, whatever, x fourth, as long as there's x's, there will be a time they will cancel. Now let's just do ourselves a favor of getting everything in. And I do not know the term number, so I'm stuck with this right now. Do I know n? It's 15. What is x? So that is 2x to the 15 minus k. What else do I know? What is the y value? Negative 1 over x squared. So it's negative 1. Everyone see the negative 1? Put this Does everybody see that that is the same thing? Okay. 1 over x to the 2 is the same thing 1 over x to the negative 2. And this will start to even get you to understand, oh, I can see how they're going to cancel out now, because we're going to add exponents together, and we want to multiply powers together, that adds the exponents. So we're going to do a little bit of algebra though first. I want to expand that 15 minus k to the 2 and to the x. And I'm going to distribute it. I'm going to distribute that k to the x, the negative 1 and the x, okay? So my next line is t to the k plus 1 equals 15ck. Now remember, I can distribute that exponent. So that'd be 2 to the 15 minus k, x to the 15 minus k. And that's negative 1. I'll put brackets around these, it's probably better. Negative 1 to the k, and x to the negative 2 times k is negative 2k. How does that look? Is it good? Did I make any mistakes? Now, let's just get all the numbers together, followed by the x's. So, because I need to show this to you. You can probably skip this next step that I'm showing you when you get good at them, but I need everybody to see what I'm doing. 15 minus k, negative 1 to the k, and then I'm just putting the x together. That's x to the 15 minus k, and x to the negative 2k. My goal was to just get these side by side for you. Now, do you see right now, these are going to be all my numbers. That's going to be the numerical coefficient in the front. Does everyone see that? When I multiply, if I had k, life would be pretty sweet right now, but I don't. But do you see that when I multiply, I get my numbers? What has to happen in that red box? I need to get rid, some k has to go in there that they destroy each other. And then I get a constant because look, there's no x's left. So what k would actually work in there to make them all go away? And all go away would mean x to the 0. What do you get, Jamie? K equal 5? Yeah. Okay, so if you put a 5 in here, now just watch this. Because I just use guessing and testing at this point, but does everybody see that I would get, with what Jamie said, I'd get x to the 10 here, here I'd get x to the negative 10. What's 10 plus negative 10? 0. I would get x to the 0. If you're like, huh, I'd never come up with that in a million years, you need to know that 15 minus k plus negative 2k, oops, I need that exponent equals 0. Does everyone understand that statement? Now, Jamie did that in her head, but if you're like, oh man, I would have never got that in a million years, we'll do the math. That's 15 minus 3k equals 0. What if I bring that over to the other side? 15 equals 3k. Divide the k's. 5 equals k. Now, I like to believe that you could keep plugging in numbers here yourself till you get it. Most of you will not have to go through this. But if you're like, well, I know this plus this has to equal 0, or how else am I going to get rid of them? So I did this plus this equals 0 and did the math. So this is something that might be optional for you. But what's nice is now I found k. Therefore, which term am I looking for? sixth term. Question?
So, but why did you use half the equation to find k?
Because this isn't going to tell me anything. This has to, these two x's, they have to destroy themselves. What number would make that happen? That'll be, see, I don't know, if they would have told me what the numerical coefficient was, I would make this equal the numerical coefficient. But they did give me the variable coefficient, which is get rid of them. So this right here, determine the constant term, means tell me the term in which the x's kill themselves, or the variables actually delete themselves. But now that I know it's 5, I'm just going to put it in. T to the 5 plus 1 equals 15 C5, 2 to the 15 minus 5, and negative 1 to the 5. Now, I could put this if I wanted to, but I know it's gone anyway, right? I mean, maybe you want to do it again too, but this should equal x to the 0, which equals 1. So 15c5 times 2 to the 10 times negative. Okay, so I'm looking for term 6. They might even say, what term would have no variables in it? And I'm done already. Term 6. Okay? They may not ask me to go through all this. But I am going to go through all of it in case they ask anything like this. And you should get negative 3,075,072. Now, I would like to know how you're going to fluke that one off. And it may be, all this could be, record the last 2 digits, or round to the nearest whole number, record the last 2 digits in the box. 72. That's it. Okay? The good thing about this is you could check it over very quickly by just put in k into the formula again. So now you know k, put all that in the formula, see if you get it again. Because now you know k. Right? That's one way to check it over quick. Okay, so we're doing 1, 2, 3 ACE, 4B, 5B, 6B, 7B, and 8 to 13. Do you need that still? Yeah, just 1 to 3, 8, no. Yeah, just do 3 ACE, sorry, do 1 and 2. So you can already imagine how much fun tomorrow's quiz will be. And it won't be a 2-minuter tomorrow.